Hello class, we're about to start section 13.5, solving radical equations. How to solve an equation containing a radical expression. Isolate the radical on one side of the equation. Apply inverse operations to get x by itself. Remember, the inverse of a square root is the squaring function. The inverse of a cube root is the cubing function, etc. Check all solutions because all extraneous solutions must be removed. Remove solutions that come out of the solution process but do not satisfy the original equation. So let's take a look at this. We have the square root of x minus 3 is equal to 5. We want to get rid of the square root, so we would square both sides. So the square root of square will simplify out and leave you x minus 3. 5 squared is 25. So we add 3 on both sides, and x equals 28. Now we can go back and check this. We will put 28 in place of x. So we add 28 minus 3, and that should give us 5. So this will give us the square root of 25. And we know the square root of 25 is 5. So this is the answer. Remember, this was the check. This right here is the final solution, but this was just to check to be sure that you would use this answer. Now we come here to B. Now if you notice here, we have more operations here, so we need to get rid of them before we talk about, squaring each side. So we would add 4 on both sides first. So we have 5 times the square root of x plus 1 is equal to 15. Now we would divide each side by 5. The square root of x plus 1 is equal to 3. Now we would square both sides. And we would add x plus 1 is equal to 9. Subtract 1 on both sides, and x is equal to 8. Now we need to check that. So what we would do here, we will put in 8 for x. So we have 5 times the square root of 8 plus 1, and it's minus 4 equals 11. Now we know 8 plus 1 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. 5 times 3 is 15, minus 4 is 11. And we know 11 equals 11. So x equals 8 is our answer. And remember, this was the check. Now, we come down here to C. Now we do this the same way as we did the other problems. We will subtract 1 on both sides. We add the square root of 2x plus 5 is equal to 2x minus 1. Now we take the square of both sides. So this will leave us 2x plus 5 equals. Now this is a little different because we added 2x minus 1 in parentheses squared. So we'll go off to the side. We know this is the same as 2x minus 1 and 2x minus 1. So we will multiply that using the FOIL or distributive property. And when you do that, you will end up with 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. So it would be 4x squared minus 4x plus 1. Now remember, we want to solve for x here, but this problem is slightly different. So what we could do is we can make this equal 0 by subtracting 2x and subtracting 5 from both sides. So we will have 0 is equal to 4x squared minus 6x minus 4. Now what we would have to do next is this here. We will use the quadratic formula. So we need to list our A, B, and C. And so what I'll do is this here to give me more space. I'll erase what I wrote here, but you still have it in your notes. So we will list our A, B, and C. I'll list it here. A is 4, B is negative 6, and C is negative 4. So now we would do the quadratic formula. So it'd be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So we had an opposite, b is negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times our a is 4 and our c is negative 4. And that will be all over. Then we will have 2 times a, which is 2 times 4. So now we will have x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16 times a negative 4 will give us positive 64. And that is all over 8. So this would end up being x is equal to 6 plus or minus. Now 36 plus 64 we know is 100. And the square, well, I'll write that down. Square root of 100. And that's all over 8. So this will give us 6 plus or minus 10 all over 8. So now we would have x is equal to, now we would have two separate solutions, 6 plus 10 over 8 and 6 minus 10 over 8. So this would give us x is equal to 16 over 8 is 2, and 6 minus 10 is negative 4 over 8, which would be a negative 1/2. So these are our two solutions. So now what we want to do is we want to take these two solutions and substitute it back into the original equation. So the first thing, let's do the negative 1/2. So we have square root of 2 times negative 1/2 plus 5 plus 1 on the outside is equal to 2 times a negative 1/2. Now, when we multiply this here, 2 times a negative 1/2 is negative 1 plus 5, which will give us the square root of 4 plus 1. And 2 times a negative 1/2 will be negative 1. Now, we know this ends up giving us 2 plus 1 and 3. We know positive 3 does not equal to negative 1. So we know that we cannot use 1/2 as one of our solutions. So we could cross out the 1/2. That's one solution that we cannot use. So now we want to go through and try 2 this time. So we would take the square root of 2 times 2 plus 5 and plus 1 is equal to 2 times 2. So we know that this will end up giving us the square root of 9 plus 1 is equal to 4. Now the square root of 9 we know is 3. 3 plus 1 equals 4. And we know 4 is equal to 4. So our solution here would just be x equals 2. We will not use the 1/2. And that is the final answer. Now, we come here to the next page. We're doing example 2 here. And we have this problem. It says the time t in seconds it takes an object to fall d feet is given by the formula t equals the square root of d over 4. Find the height of the Benjamin Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia. A man stands in the center section at the highest point and drops a coin into the water. It takes the coin 3 seconds to hit the water. So how far from the water is the bridge at this point? Find by hand. Okay, first of all, we look here at the time. Now, what we will have is, we will have 3, because it said it took 3 seconds, is equal to the square root of d. We don't know what d is yet, and then it'll be over 4. Now, we need to get rid of this 4 out of the denominator. So we'll multiply each side by 4. That'll give us 12 is equal to the square root of d. Now we will square both sides. So this will give us 144 is equal to d. So your final answer would be 144 feet is equal to d. And that will be your final answer. Now we scroll down here to example 3. It says here, consider the following data regarding the number of children aged 10 and older, i.e. teenagers, who were adopted from foster care in the U.S. Now we have this formula here, and we also have this model. Now it says here that everything is based since 1998. So we know we will have to change our years. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because this is all the years since 1998. So now it says here, let this be a model for the thousands of teens adopted in the U.S. at 2 years since 1998. Verify using a calculator that is a valid model. Sketch a graph. So what we would do is this. We would call up this calculator. I'm going to move this over here. Now in the calculator, we know we'll go to Stat, press Enter, and we need to clear out all of what we may have in the calculator. Okay, so now our L1 would be 0, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter, 3, enter, 4, enter, 5, enter, and 6, enter. Now we'll go to the right here. We will add 8.1, enter, 10.8, enter, 12.0, enter, 12.4, enter, 13.6, enter, and 13.0, enter, and 13.4. Now, we will press Stat again. Actually, class, we didn't need to press Stat. That was a little error. We need to press the Y equal key. And then what we want to do is to type in this equation, which would be 2.48, then second, then the square root, and then type in, we could use X instead of T. Then you need to press the right arrow so that the square root won't expand, and type in plus 8.1. Now, one other thing before we do any graphing, go to second and the Y equal key and press Enter and make sure that your plot is on. So press Enter to make sure your plot is on. Now you can press Graph. Now your graph should look like this, which is the model. But if your graph does not look like this, go to Zoom and then scroll down until you get to Zoom Stat and press Enter. And then it will show this graph here. So this is a model of the graph. So you could say yes, that the model fits the points. And then you could actually draw a little sketch based off of the calculator. And what you could do is you could just look at the calculator and basically draw what you see here with a few points added in there. You could just draw a few points, show the sum, hit the graph, just like it does on the calculator. Okay, now we scroll down here to B. It says find T of 30. What does it mean in this situation? So what we need to do here is, we know we will substitute in 30 for T of T, and equal to 2.48 times the square root of T plus 8.1. Now, actually, class, this was a slight error here, because this is T of 30. What we would do is we will put in 30 for the lowercase t here. So it should not have been for the whole problem. So it would be T of 30, and we will substitute in 30 for this lowercase t here. So now, once you put this in your calculator, you will end up with approximately 28.684 once you put all of this in your calculator. So what this means is in 2028, the model predicts that 21.684 thousand teens will be adopted. So this is what B means. Now we go to C. It says find T when T of T is 25 by hand. What does it mean in this situation?